Hello YouTubers, this is Camera Prepper here. It's been a long time I've done a video, but this is the day of the Preparedness Awareness event. I've stayed at a place called Basingstoke Canal campsite, so I just swing around just to show where I am. As you can see, it's a small campsite. You can literally pitch up where you are. We've literally pitched right at the back, where a forest is just behind us, away from everybody. There's no electric here. It has got amenities, toilets, but that's all we need. This video is just to give a few shouts out for the event and to tell you what's going to happen with my video, with my YouTube channel, I should say. Obviously, we've started it in January, this event, and we've had our ups and downs, but overall it's been a really good positive experience. The amount of people that have wanted to help and volunteered to help, it's been amazing. It proves that the prepping community is a tight-knit community, so I'm very proud of that. I want to say big thank you. Obviously there's a lot of people that helped out an event, so I'll just say a big thank you to everybody that's volunteered to help, and for everybody that will be coming today as well. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the businesses and people that are going to be selling their gear there. Thank you very much. I couldn't have done this without you. As I said, it's been a long road. For the YouTube channel, after the event, because the reason why obviously I haven't done no videos is because of the event. It's been really chocker. I've been literally spending 6-7 hours a day trying to do a video, and then when you've got kids to look after it, it's a total experience. But after the event, I've got quite a few videos planned already, and obviously more to come after that, so you'll probably see quite a lot of me. Hopefully, or you should do, I should be recording today, taking some pictures, some video of the event, so I will be adding this on afterwards, after this as well. I'm also going to be doing, I'm going to write a report as well. I'm going to put it on my blogging website as well, so I'll send a link underneath. Until then, obviously I've got to get ready. Hope you, obviously for the ones that come, enjoy the event, and for the ones that couldn't make it, we definitely will see you next year, because I've already got plans to do one for next year as well. Location obviously is still a question. We don't know where yet, but whether it'll be at the same place, I'm not too sure. We have to find out when we get there as well. Other than that, I'll see you at the event, or I'll see you soon. Camera Prepper out.
Right now, you just want to stop the breathing. Of course, if I'm going to put it on myself, it's easier for me to do it and quicker if I only thread it through once. But if I'm going to do it on you, it makes sense for me to thread it through twice. Because I've got both hands, so it's easy to do. Plus, if we're going to move you, which inevitably we will need to do, if you get dragged along the ground and you get caught, just, it will get undone. It won't come undone. If you've only got it threaded through once, and then it gets caught, it can come undone. So as your battle buddy, or whatever you want to call it, if I came across you and you'd already put this on yourself, if it's possible, I would take the time to either adjust this one, but really I don't want to risk undoing it. I could put another tourniquet on. Not a problem. Nobody says you can't put more than one tourniquet on, because it's about stopping a guy bleeding to death, right? Or girl, because of the man. So when I've got this tourniquet on, and again, I'm relying on doing it myself right now, I get it on as high and tight as I possibly can. And when I mean tight, I mean tight. Do not rely on the windlass system, which is the bit that tightens up the fabric, to completely cut the circulation. You need to make sure that you've got this in as tight as you can possibly get it. The windlass system, these were designed, certainly on the cab, to be turned a maximum number of 4 times. So,
your arms will drop off.
Leaves it on,
this is
yeah.
once, right? That's one turn. It's starting to hurt already. A good tourniquet is a painful tourniquet. We'll worry about pain later. Pain is good, especially if the guy's screaming, because it means he's got an open airway.
Yeah. So ones that are quiet, that you want to see to first.
You just need to say, can you scream quiet? So you get your windlass done up, and you do it up as tight as you can get it. Ideally, it shouldn't be any more than 4 times. If you have to do it more than 4 times, it probably means you haven't got it done up tight enough through the buckle. Like Shelley mentioned, you're looking at cutting off the circulation. Now we practice checking for a pulse. I see the colour of my arm already. Good, that's a good thing, because it's cutting off blood supply, which means this catastrophic injury I've got down there is controlling the bleeding. That's what I want to do. You can also see that it takes longer for the blood to return. And this is not done up fully yet. If you're able to check for a pulse, fantastic. But more than likely, you're not going to be able to locate the pulse because of the catastrophic injury there. But when we train, when we practice, we'll know you've done it right because you check and see if the pulse is there. But that's something you guys can go away and go and practice every time. So I've got it done up, nice and tight. I've got my windlass done up. What you want to do is you want to be able to lock it in place. Now, because of the tension that's on it, normally it should just spring back. You've got this added little piece of Velcro. It's like it closes the gate, so to speak. And you just loop that over the top. Then you can write the time on it. It's always a good idea to note the time. Reason being is the longer you leave a tourniquet in place, the less likely the limb will be viable. In other words, you're cutting off blood supply. That's what you want to do. But ideally, we want blood supply to it because it oxygenates the tissue, and it means that hopefully when it all heals, you'll get the use of your limb back. We'll worry about that later. Your priority is stopping bleeding. Once you've stopped the bleeding, then you can look at airway. Then you can check and make sure that breathing is working all right. And then once you've done those things, and if you've come across something and you have to fix it, you fix it. Do you then go back to circulation, where you'll look at using things like your bandages and your gauze? Okay? So there's always going to be a sequence of events. Number one priority is you. The next one is making sure, obviously, you don't become a casualty yourself. And after that, if the guy's bleeding to death, you need to make sure it stops. If it's unsafe where you are, you need to be moving. One of the things, again, when we go back to our old first aid training, oh no, don't move them. Life over limb. In other words, if somebody's left in a situation where not only are they compromised, you become compromised as well, you can't be worrying about it. You need to be moving. You need to be getting out of the way. And sometimes you need to improvise when you're doing that. A stretcher. But you know what? It's no different than a poncho, the one that's on the table there. We're not going to worry about cervical spine because the situation that we're in right now isn't a good place to be. So we'll pick our casualty up, we'll put him on here, we'll take them, and if we need to, we'll drag them out of the way, or we'll get some help and we'll get some help shifting. Don't stay in the danger zone any longer than you really need to. And it goes the same in civilian life as it is anywhere else. Okay? Anybody got any questions on the cat tourniquet?
Anybody want to demo it?
Well, I'll get to that bit in a second.
Tim, Sharon, there's a...
Yes, sir.
How long do you keep the tourniquet on?
Good question. As long as possible to make sure you stop the bleeding, but don't leave it on too long so that the limb becomes starved of oxygen. The maximum that they say you can leave it on is up to 2 hours. I've known tourniquets to be on 8 to 12 hours, and they still manage to save the limb. You could argue that maybe the tourniquet wasn't done up that tight, but what the tourniquet did do is it controlled bleeding. And ultimately that's what you're trying to do at the end of the day. At the earliest opportunity, what you want to do is introduce the use of your dressings. If you have a hole in a wound, like the little boy in the dam, what did he do? He plugged the hole because he stuck his finger in it. He didn't put his hand over the top where the water could leak out the sides. He stuck his finger in. So if I'm going to treat a wound, ideally, I'll take some gauze and I'll stick my finger in it. And I will pack it out so I can get as much gauze in that wound as I possibly can. And I will pack it and pack it and pack it and pack it till it's hard and tight. Once I've done that, and I'm applying my direct pressure, do that for at least a good 5 minutes, if time and the situation allows me to do so, I can then take my trauma dressing and I can stick it on top. This stuff, some of you might have heard of it, combat gauze, cell-ups. Anybody heard of this stuff? It's fantastic. But it's not the end of the world. In other words, it will survive without using this. So there's always, like everything, there's always a right place and the right time for using all this equipment, and that's obviously where training and experience comes in. Here, I've got some just bog standard compressed gauze. So you can go to Boots the pharmacy and that'll probably be, I don't know, £1.50, maybe not even that. Compared to £6-7.
That's got an anticoagulant in it.
That's correct. It has an anticoagulant. The idea is this helps promote blood contact. But that will do just as much good as this if you use it correctly. And that's where the whole training side of things come in. There's actually studies that have gone into how well these things perform. And a lot of it is down to technique. It's the same as the tourniquet. Making sure that we're putting it on right, threading the buckles right, making sure you got it high and tight. So as I say, we need to be able to compromise. We need to be able to adapt to our situation. Ideally, we want to get the bandage on, we want to get the gauze in, and then we want to be able to release the tourniquet. But if we release the tourniquet, do it slowly. Because the last thing I want to do is go. Let all that lovely blood pressure and blood flow go back to the wound, and then it blows the clot off. Which is no good to me, because I spent all that time trying to get the bleeding under control. So if I release the tourniquet, I release it really slowly, and I stop and I wait. I've got time, I can wait, as long as the situation allows me. And then a little bit more, and I'm looking at the dressing, looking at the wound. Is there any blood leaking out? If there is blood leaking out, that's fine, no problem. I'll just turn the tap back off, knock it off, and wait. As I said, you might not have this, you might have something like this. Communal garden, triangular bandage. Again, I need to be able to do this one-handed. Technique is no different than it is if I'm using the calculator. But there aren't any buckles or anything that I can use with this.
You've done that before, haven't you?
Practice. Yeah? Get how tight that is on my arm.
You're right, saying the same thing as well.
And I already did, that's half a refill. Good piece of kit. Well, ideally what I want to do is I want to create a windlass effect if I can. So what I can do is I can take my scissors and I can put another knot in here. And I can take my scissors, just slot them in there.
Again, you need to
And what I'm
cut that
going
off,
to do
aren't we?
is I'm going to just tie it off again, just to make sure that that knot doesn't, my arm's starting to hurt. Tie that off, and then using the scissors, I twist it. And again, twist it until it gets too tight. if it was high up. Imagine if it was down there. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be, this limb doesn't work right. Yeah?
Right, so we need to snip that off, or we're going to be able to
But that doesn't have to be a triangular bandage. That could be a scarf. It could be a shemag or something. I'm sure I could turn that into something somehow. it would look pretty a little bit. Yeah, we have to actually.
I mean, it really does. There's a lot of friction in these things.
Yeah, and that's a good piece of material. It's a good piece of cloth.
Okay.
Shake it up, you'll be fine.
It's only a flesh wound.
That's why this one's shorter than that one.
One of the
Bog standard triangular bandage. I didn't have to, as I said, these are what, about £20 quite for me, and for what I do. They're so worth the investment. That's just the way I look at it. I've used it on numerous occasions. It's bloody good at what they do. But on the odd occasion I've run out. And I've had to resort to using triangular bandages. But triangular bandages work. I've even been in a situation where I had a standard dressing where, right, your Israeli bandages, your special Israeli bandages.
Oh yeah, they're my really top quality ones. Those they are bandages that were made in Israel.
They are bandages and they were made in Israel. Nothing wrong with that bandage. I've used something very similar. Say back in the day, certainly during the Gulf War, first time, had somebody with quite a catastrophic injury, both arms, both legs. 4 of us working on this guy at the same time. We didn't have cap tourniquets. In fact, I think tourniquets were out of fashion then because they came in and come out so many times. So we didn't have tourniquets. What we had are a bog standard dressing made in Israel. So what we did, we got our scissors, we cut the arms off the bandage, and just with the gauze, we just stuffed it in the wound. We improvised. And then what was left, we used to tie over the top of the wound to make sure it stays secure. If you do a bandage up tight enough, and the nice thing about these particular bandages is they come with these things called compression bars. I'll go over this again in a bit after we go through that, which actually help to apply extra pressure to the wound. And that's what it's all about, pressure. Pressure from the tourniquet to cut off the blood supply. Then you need to be able to pack the wound, then you need to be able to get the dressing on top and keep enough pressure to stop any more blood coming out. And you've got to do it relatively quickly. So who wants to go and put that to work in? Let's see how effective it is. Right then, first thing.
Yeah, I can put my arm in.
Okay, anybody want to arm chop that?
Does she need to sign a disclaimer?
So there's legal disclaimers around the room.
Oh, all right.
Right, what did I just do with my triangular bandage? That's the bandage. I promise I won't do anything freaky. But reason we do this is about building muscle memory. You need to be able to do these things without using your sight. Same as you would if you were getting out of your house in the event of a fire and the rooms were full of smoke. Again, that's all part of it. We had a radio show about the same thing not that long ago. Having a plan and being able to work your way out of it. Don't rely on having these senses, don't rely on having them there. So, here's a tourniquet. Okay?
I have to use my arm.
Hang on. Who's who's taking this session? Alright, sorry. So what can you feel in your hand right now?
You're going to drop it.
It's alright.
There's a buckle.
Good. Plastic buckle. So I'll just take that out of your hand right now. I'll put that in your hand.
Velcro.
Right. So which end of the tourniquet have you got right now?
But the, I don't know, tail end.
Good. You've got the tail end. So keeping that hand on there, put the buckle in this hand.
I'm not using
No, don't use that hand. Put the buckle in this hand.
this hand.
Yeah.
Ah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Remember, see?
Right.
Excellent. Brilliant start. Memory. I know that the right end that needs to be in my hand is that one with the buckle.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we want to apply the tourniquet on this arm. So can you remember how we did that?
I'm not sure which end I have.
Stop there. Notice what she did. You turned it over in her hand. Because you remember that you were going to throw it over your shoulder. So the flat side, with the bar upwards, is exactly what we just done there. That's where it needs to be. Excellent. Good. What do you want to do with the buckle now? You should be able to do it. No. Right, so I'm off. That's it. Stick to one key now. Where's the other? Excellent. Don't be afraid, even if this is injured, to manipulate the limb if you need to. Use some leverage on the floor or the side of the vehicle or whatever it is you need to do. Nobody says you can't do that. So now what I want you to do is thread the tail end through the buckle.
Very typically might get a twist in it, isn't it?
Should be if you do it right.
Okay.
Take your time, do it quickly. Excellent. That's it. So then what you're going to do is you select up and down, select up and down to get it as tight as you possibly can. That's it. Excellent. Now this has got Velcro on it. So ideally you want to stick it to the Velcro at the back to keep it in place. So you can see where it would be important to use some leverage to be able to do that. That's it. And it only needs to go up as far as this gate bit here. Because remember, we need that to be able to lock this up. You're right, there.
Yeah.
Can you see it? What I want you to do now, it's like being hypnotised. What I want you to do is just do up the windlass.
Does it matter for you?
Yep, do it that way. See? Fantastic. It's easier doing that way than mechanically if you had to do it that way. It's easier pushing away from you. So how many turns there? That's one so far, I think. Yeah, that way. Okay, so let's do it once, all the way around. Keep going. Well done.
Sorry. Yeah.
Good, that means it's working. Keep going. Well done, that's good. That's actually enough right there. So what you can do is you can lock it off now. So if you push it round to the side, you've got this bit, the gate is here. Notice it springs back. If I let go, look, that's sprung back there.
Oh, right.
So just clip it under there, push it. That's it. Excellent. Now do you remember that little tab that was at the top?
Oh, yeah.
She's blindfolded.
Yeah, very good.
But she's not upside down.
I couldn't think.
Not that you can see, but I mean, if you press the thumb.
Now, a good way
go.
of checking is if you just bear with, I've got false oximeter here. Now we're going to go scientific.